Hello and welcome to Human Biology. I'm Dr. Robin Pankyu, your instructor for this course. This is a hybrid class, so you'll be doing all of your lecture work online and you'll be coming to campus once a week in order to take your labs. You'll do some lab work online as well. So let's take a look at the mechanics of the course. I've asked you to print your syllabus before we started this video, and so please take out your syllabus so you can follow along with me. You see now the course homepage. On the course homepage, you'll find announcements. This to-do list is not necessarily up to date, so I wouldn't pay much attention to it. Pay more attention to your syllabus where you can see all of your due dates. And your announcements also are always going to be emailed to you. Please make it a habit to check your email often because you will get announcements from me and also from the college. Let's go first to this course information tab. That's where you found your syllabus. Here's the syllabus that you printed, and on the syllabus you can see that you are required to have a lab manual as well as Connect access. It is optional for you to buy the textbook. Now the textbook is actually going to be available as an ebook, and I'll show you that in a moment. However, some students do like to have a hard copy of the textbook. You don't need it, but it would be helpful to have a hard copy of the textbook when you come to lab. Hopefully somebody at the table will have a hard copy. We could probably get a few other hard copies in there so that we can look at them. I find that not all of the answers to the questions in the lab manual are actually found in the lab manual, so you have to go to your textbook. Either way, if you can try this out with the ebook for the first 2 weeks. Connect comes with a free 2-week trial, so you do not have to purchase your book right off the bat. Talk about that in a moment. So let's take a look at this folder. You see, anytime you see this is a folder. So we're going to open that up. And I'll show you in a moment how we get to Connect. You'll click right through Blackboard to get there. And we always want to go through Blackboard when we get to Connect. Right? So here's how you're going to get to the ebook on Connect and how also you are going to do LearnSmart. Here's a document on how to use the Smart Book in Connect. You can open that and read it. I'm going to go through some of this for you. If you're very new to this type of technology, you might want to open this up and read it before you get started. Okay. Now when you go back in Blackboard, it's a good idea to use your breadcrumb trail rather than use the back button. All right, next you see the important due dates. So you can see you have a lot of due dates. These are the chapter exams. The LearnSmarts are going to be due one day before the exam due date. Now, does this mean that you have to complete it on that day? No, you can't complete it past that date, but you can complete it before that date. So if you want to get your LearnSmart done by September 1st and do your exam on September 2nd, that's fine, as long as you get it in there by 11:59 p.m. of the due date. So here you can see the due date for your first exam, which is chapter 1, and 2, is very close by. It is on September the 3rd. You're going to be completing these exams on the Connect site. I'll show you in a minute how to get there. There are 14 exams. Each one is worth 35 points. I will be dropping the lowest 2 exam scores, but that won't happen until the end of the semester. If you miss an exam, then that is one that you can drop. Don't miss more than 2, though you'll get a 0 on an exam. There's a time limit of 45 minutes for all exams. That's 45 minutes for 35 questions. The exams have multiple choice questions only. You are not required to use Respondus Monitor or Respondus for these exams. You wouldn't be able to anyway because you can't go to external websites, and Connect is an external website. Exams are going to be randomly generated from a pool of questions, which means that other people in the class will not have exactly the same exam that you do. And exams must be completed by 11:59 on the due date. Remember, there are no comprehensive exams in this course. There is no midterm and there is no final. There's also not a midterm or a final in lab, but there are lab practical exams. Right after you take the exam, you can review it. Please review them and let me know if you think any of the questions are unfair. And please be specific as possible because students have different exam numbers. So it's a good idea to copy paste it and tell me what the question is. Then I can go in and take a look at your question. In the event that Connect's not available due to a problem with the college's server, not your personal internet provider, for a period of 12 hours or more during an online exam period, I will update the closing time for the exam. Again, check your email if that happens. If there's any kind of a problem, I keep in touch with you. Okay. Now, Respondus Monitor is going to be necessary in order to take your lab practical exams. That's the only time you're going to need it. So in order to get Respondus onto your computer, you're going to go up here to the very top, and you're going to click on Help and Resources. This is going to take you to all of the information. It's a little difficult to find your way around here at first, but once you know what it is, you'll figure it out. Now, when you want to find Respondus Monitor, go to Student Resources. In Student Resources, you've got the information on Respondus Lockdown Browser. So this link is unique to BC3. Download it to your computer. Make sure you install it, not just save it. Also, make sure you are using the current version of Respondus Lockdown Browser, and make sure that you have a webcam. It is important that you use a webcam because your face is going to be smiling at me, I hope, when you are taking this exam. Right, let's go back. And it's going to take me back here. Sorry about that. Once you've downloaded your Respondus Monitor and you have your webcam ready to go, take this practice quiz. This practice quiz will let you know if your webcam is set up properly. You know you'll have to have your ID in front of you when you take the exam. You'll smile for the camera. You'll hold up your ID before you take the exam. We also have in the bottom of this page the academic honesty policy. Please read this. By taking this course, you agree that you will abide by the policies set forth by the college. Okay, I see I have this on here twice. All right. So now let's go to the chapter folders. There's a folder for each exam that you're going to be taking, and in these chapter folders you will find some important information. First will be the link to the LearnSmart assignments. So remember that your LearnSmart assignments are going to be due one night before the exam is due. So 11:59 p.m. of the day before the exam is due, you must have completed your LearnSmart assignments. LearnSmart assignments are flashcards, and they can be found within the ebook. I'll take you there in just a moment. Before you do the LearnSmart and before you read the book, I highly recommend that you watch the videos. There are lectures and videos. Students really like Bozeman Biology. I do too. He has some nice videos that are not too long, and it will introduce the concepts that you are going to be learning in the chapters. A little longer are these lectures from Khan Academy. Some students like these and others didn't. I'd take a look at it and see if you like it. Remember, you're not getting personalized instruction from me because I don't have recorded videos from me in this course. So you're going to want to watch the videos that you have in this folder. So here's another one from Chapter 2, The Molecules of Life, and this again is Bozeman Biology. Using my breadcrumb trail, I'm going back. Right. There are also PowerPoint presentations here. Many students like to print the PowerPoint presentations and take notes on them while they are reading. This gives you a hard copy of something to look at when you're taking an exam. Remember, the exams, you are not under camera, only for the lab practicals, and so they are essentially open book. You will have access to your ebook while you are taking the exams. When you're ready to take the exam, here is where you find it. This will take you directly to the Connect website. So let's take a look now at the LearnSmart assignments. There will be 2 LearnSmart assignments for your first exam. And when you click on this, this is going to take you right to your ebook. This is the first thing that you want to do on Monday. Click on this and get yourself set up on the Connect website. When you set up on the Connect site, please use your BC3 email. Don't use a personal email. Use your BC3 email when you log in. And you can sign up for your free 2-week trial. If you'd like to, and you already have your code, you know you're ready to go, you can enter your access code and you're all signed up. If you're going to pay for this by credit card, at the end of 2 weeks, you will be prompted that your 2-week trial is up and that you have to pay for the course. You can do this with a credit card or a debit card. I think this is around $85, but don't hold me to that. This changes often. So let's click on this first LearnSmart assignment and go to the Connect website. I'm already logged in, so you won't see that login page that allows you to have the free trial. Now, it looks a little bit different to me than it does to you because you're a student. I'm the instructor, so I'm previewing this as a student, and we are on to the Smart Book. The Smart Book is now downloading. This may take a few moments. And while this is downloading, I want to remind you that it's a good idea as you are doing the LearnSmart assignments, before you start it, clear your browser cache. You tend to have problems. This saves cookies on your computer, and with all of these cookies on there, sometimes it jams up the work. So it really is a lot better to clear your cache, browser cache, periodically, and that way you won't have problems. Now here you have, let me open up the menu here. And in the menu, you have a search bar. This is really nice, especially if you're taking an exam and you want to look something up, and it's going to take you right to the page you want to go. Here's your table of contents. And so these are the chapters you're going to be doing. You can see that I've already done some work in this chapter. I'm 14% complete, and I am on track to completing it on time because I still have 12 days, 10 hours, and 30 minutes to the due date. The table of contents is where you can start reading a new chapter. The entire library is here. If you'd like to take notes or underline in this textbook, you certainly can do that, and then you can find your notes and underlines in this tab. Your reports are going to tell you what you have completed, so it's a little bit more detailed than this on track. It will tell you what you know, what you don't know, where your weaknesses are, and it will encourage you to keep practicing. Okay? So I'm going to go here to Chapter 1. And I can start reading in Chapter 1. Now when you open this, most likely you are going to see highlights in the chapters. And this is some information in the beginning of the chapter. I'm going to go to Characteristics of Life, and this is exactly what the textbook looks like. Right? It gives me, see if I highlight that. There we go. So you can see when you open this up, you're going to see some highlights. This is dim. You can't read it. Sorry, scrolling a bit fast. And this is highlighted. Well, the author thinks that this is important stuff. So the highlighting stuff is what the author thinks you should be reading. Now, I'm not the author, so I'm not real crazy about all this highlighting stuff. I tend to get rid of it, and you can do that right down here. If you would like to have your font a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, you certainly can do that. And here, if you'd like to read more, you can also click on that. Some nice thing here is it will give you definitions. It also will give you the image in a separate window. Now you can see I've got this flashing over here that is making me nuts. That flashing is telling me, well, I've been reading this for a while, which I have been, you haven't, but it is time to practice. Practice is LearnSmart. So I'm going to click on that. All right, here is where LearnSmart shows up. Organisms that can interbreed are considered to belong to the same blank. Now, if I don't know the answer to this, I can read about it. I can also watch a video about the information. And I want to type in my answer here and be honest about whether or not I know the answer. So organisms that can interbreed are considered to belong to the same. So I know the answer, it's species. And I'm sure I know it, so I'm going to click I know it. My answer was correct. If my answer wasn't correct, I definitely would like to go back and read about it. And if I don't think the McGraw-Hill has the right answer here, you can challenge this. Challenge is not to challenge it to me, the instructor. It's to send information to McGraw-Hill that you think the answer is wrong. So you can see on the bottom also of the page that how many items are left for me to go. So there are a set number of items. I believe there are 45 items per chapter that you're going to be doing. So here I'm going to answer the next one. Animals cannot maintain their organization or carry on life's activities without an outside source of which two things. Okay, so they need an outside source of, I think they're going to need energy. I know they make enzymes on their own. Carbon dioxide, not all organisms are going to need carbon dioxide. We don't. And so nutrients, I think, is the other answer. So I'm going to say, I think so. Okay, that was great. I was right. So what happens if you continue to say, no idea, unsure, no idea, unsure? Well, you're going to get more questions along those same lines to make sure that you understand. Well, now that you've answered some of these questions, you can go back and read some more. Now, periodically, if you are reading and not doing anything, or if you walked away from your computer, you're going to see your friendly advisor.
Reading with SmartBook helps you put emphasis on the critical paragraphs first. These critical paragraphs are highlighted in yellow. While you read, SmartBook will monitor your progress and collect relevant questions for you. Sometimes you'll notice that the practice icon has started to glow. That means SmartBook thinks it's a good time for you to practice what you have read. But it's your choice. You can ignore this and keep reading if you prefer. There is no penalty.
Now, if she annoys you, just shut her off right here. Okay? But it will continue to glow. As she said, it was going to flash, telling you that it is time to continue with this chapter. Once LearnSmart is done, you'll have your 100 points out of 100, and it is going to automatically deposit in your gradebook. So right now I want to leave the Smart Book and go back to Blackboard. So I click on the Return to Blackboard, and it takes me right back. Here I can do LearnSmart for the second chapter, and again, that's going to take me to the ebook, Chapter 2, and you can read Chapter 2 and do the LearnSmart within there. Okay. Now, once you have completed your LearnSmart assignments, you are ready to take your first exam. Your first exam has a specific due date. It will be listed underneath this exam icon, and you're going to click on it. This will take you directly to Connect once again, and you are going to answer your questions. All right. Take you back to chapter folders. So you have a chapter folder with the LearnSmart assignments, videos, PowerPoint presentations, and the exam for every chapter. So as far as point distribution is concerned, if you take a look at your syllabus, you'll see that lecture is 75% of your course grade. 20% of that 75% comes from LearnSmart. There's no excuse for not getting 100% on LearnSmart. It's easy enough to do. And then your chapter exams are going to be 80% of your grade. And remember that the lowest two exam scores are going to be dropped. Let's talk a few moments about what's going to happen in lab. There's a lab tab here for you to click on. And there is a syllabus here as well. I'll be providing a copy of this syllabus for you when you get into lab for the first time. In lab, you're going to be completing activities. Many of them will involve proposing hypotheses and experimenting. Oftentimes you will be doing looking at components of the human body, such as the bones or the muscles. So it's important to note that you will not have any diagrams on your chapter exams in lecture. All of the diagrams will be in lab. There's a study guide for the lab practical. This study guide, you'll get a copy of it. Either it will be available in the bookstore or you'll be provided a copy of this. And please remember to bring this to lab with you every time. You also need a lab manual. The lab manual information can be found on the syllabus, and the lab manual is absolutely required. You must bring it to every lab, and please purchase it at the bookstore or from an alternate source. I mentioned before that you're going to have 4 lab exams. The first one is going to cover weeks 1 through 4, the second weeks 5 through 7, and the due dates are here. All of the questions are going to come from your lab practical study guide. So make sure that you bring that to lab and you answer the questions on the study guide, and you are going to be ready then for the lab exams. The lab exams are not open book. You will be on Respondus Monitor with a camera when you do the lab exams. So here's your first one, and you're going to click on this, and you'll go through the steps where you show your face, you show your identification, and then you will take your exam. The exam is timed. Okay, so here's your lab exams, and then there is a folder for every single lab that we do. It's a good idea to take a look at the information in this folder before you come to lab. Before you come to lab, the first time we're going to be doing metric conversion. So you'll find some videos in here that are going to be helpful. And when lab ends, you are going to answer the questions at the end of the lab exercise and answer them here in the post-lab review. The post-lab review does not require that you have Respondus. So you can click on this. Let me make sure that you don't need it. Okay, and you click on this and you're going to answer the questions. These questions that are at the end of the lab exercise, and I'll discuss this when we get into lab, the questions that are there are going to be present either as fill in the blank, true, false, or multiple choice questions. So when you click on your post-lab review, it's going to give you your instructions. And you can see which process involves making observations, formulating hypotheses, doing experiments, and coming to a conclusion. And you would type your answer here. You've got a second question, and these are all exactly the same questions that are in the lab manual. When you're done, you're going to save and submit. You can see you do have an essay question here, and you will have an essay question or two every week. Save and submit it. And it will put the information into your gradebook. Now, you won't be able to see your results until the due date has passed. Now, here's the thing with these post-lab reviews. If you complete the post-lab review on the same day that the lab is offered, you can get 100% of the points as long as your answers are correct. If you complete it the next day, you lose 50% of the points. And if you complete it 48 hours after it is due, you lose 50% of the points. So it's a good idea for you to leave the lab, make sure you have the answers to your post-lab questions, and then go home and do your post-lab review. Okay. So you have a folder for every lab. And continue to scroll here. In week 2, you are going to be doing a formal lab report. And I'll be discussing this with you in lab. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all this week in lab. Good luck in this course this semester.